All right, click links to join my channel here over at SubStars. Before I forget, if you're of a, I don't know, Generation X, maybe millennials, you're familiar with the Goonies. So, you're like, oh no. This is what I've been saying. Stuff like the Goonies and the Gremlins, whatever was around in the 80s, they're either going to do reboots of it or streaming, I don't know, continuations, interpretations of it, which is the case with the Goonies, which you'd think this story was kind of, I mean, you could make further, I would make further adventures of the Goonies, like in the fantastic, somewhat fantastic world. Like you're clearly not in the real world. There's, you know, like magical pirates and such. You could continue that story, but I don't know what company has the rights to it. You'll hear about it more as it comes out, but it's gonna be lame beyond belief. Why? Because every time they touch something in the past, they take things, oh, hey, people really enjoyed Goonies, the Gremlins, Indiana Jones. Let's make it lame beyond recognition. So here you have this actor, Kumail, I guess, from the past two bombing films. There's a crossover with Marvel and DC here, but it really, if you know, rising tide lifts all ships here. So he's set up to do a third bombing film, where you have an original character on the right that is the blonde, fair-skinned person of the light. That's the artist's original intention. So naturally, the lizard people in Hollywood use I think he's an Indian, to replace him. Though honestly, he is very fair-skinned, but obviously he's not the character. Except it's not really going to matter, because the movie is going to come and go, and maybe if they're lucky, it'll break even, or it won't lose too much money. But you know, both DC and who's DC? HBO. Both HBO, Warner, and Disney need to start making some hits, because they've got a lot of movies and streaming shows that are losing money. They what was this? The Star Wars thing that just concluded, The Acolyte, I think, Disney Star Wars. I think they put $200 million into it. And if you look at that, and you kind of wondered, so did you get $200 million in subscriptions or positive publicity or anything? I kind of doubt it. So the Eternals was a cast of various non-whites running around in a green screen room. I mean that some movies, like the original Wonder Woman, okay movie, but you just got this feeling that things didn't have weight. They didn't have mass to them. Things weren't right. And it's like, because they're running around in a green screen. They don't look like they're physically capable of doing, like the chick who played Wonder Woman, she was in great shape, but in this, the Eternals, you had like people who were in good shape for being normal people, but they weren't in the kind of shape that would be expected for these kind of physical stunts and performances. And one of the guys was 300 pounds of jelly, and I mean, they tried to, I think he might have been gay with some kind of mixed race kid or something. I'm not sure how you make a baby that way. I don't even want to imagine. Probably a lot of lubes involved. So he didn't look capable of anything. And one of the women was actually physically disabled, which is weird, because they're Kirby's space gods who built themselves, if I remember right. They're kind of living, perfect, organic computers. So they decided that the best way to go to Earth, you could be anything you want with all the capabilities this computer can build you, would be two of them are going to be 50-year-old women who were in great shape for their age. Salma Hayek and the other girl, I forget her name, Angelina Jolie, I think, and a 300-pound man. And so much diversity, except everyone hates diversity, rightfully so. And so the movie bombed, and no sequel, which I think Leishman over at the Mary Sue doesn't understand why there's no sequel to it. Because in her mind, it was diverse. And that's a selling point all on its own. The story, the pathos, the emotion, nothing about the traditional storytelling matters. And I know these are just stupid superhero movies, but her first selling point is that it's diverse and representation, all these Frankfurt School hot words. And it's like, more of us just have to come out and go, yeah, all that Bolshevik nonsense are not our values. And you're going to find out at the box office, because these movies are just not making money. Or I mean, a lot of the movies now, if it breaks even, they go, oh, thank God it broke even. Maybe it'll get a sequel. It's like, movies are supposed to make money. They're not supposed to just break even. And you're talking about like $200 million movies with $50 to $100 million in advertising. Anyway, diversity is like an anti-selling point to us. If I remember right, the Eternals when Kirby's comic were super blonde. And actually, if you go back and read the first couple issues of that comic, it was interesting because there was a whole lot of Ubermensch, Untermensch stuff going on there, which is kind of, but it was like in a positive light, which is weird, kind of given Kirby's background. So I don't know what to say about that. It would just kind of threw me for a loop because I went and reread the comics when the movie came out, and they're fantastic, but it was kind of an oddball. I'm not quite sure what he was going with there. I mean, people were like left wingers 50 years ago, 60, 70 years ago, were not the left wingers of today. Left wingers even of like the 80s were a completely different animal than a left winger today is like, oh, let's put our kids on hormones and then sterilize them and open the borders. Oh, I mean, that's insane. Everything you're saying is absolutely nuts. Yeah, we're for Kamala now. Anyway, so naturally you take the super blonde Ubermensch characters and make them fat, disabled, and brown, because F you, that's why. I got through a few minutes of the Eternals. The willing suspension of disbelief only goes so far. All I can say is Angelina Jolie and Salma Hayek look great, you know. But everyone else should have been, he could have swapped out everyone else. And then the Blue Beetle, so like I don't know if the actor is this guy Indian or Mexican or something. He's actually, like, if you dyed his hair blonde and put blue contacts in him, he would look pretty European. I don't remember him in Blue Beetle, but I only got through a little bit of it. And keep in mind, when I say I watch these things, I mean I sail the high seas for everything. That movie was, though honestly, you can go on Telegram, and Crackalactic got some. He's got his own private channels, and there's a bunch of private channels where you can see this stuff in 1080 if you wish. And the thing is, you know, it's like even seeing it for free. You get through a few minutes of it, and you're like, there's nothing here. It's just a rice cake without any peanut butter. I think Blue Beetles was something about illegals invading and how great that country to the south was and how evil Trump was. And that other country, the taco country, was so great. Though apparently tacos were inspired by the Irish who came over and they had like a pierogi type of thing. And so the burrito taco concept kind of came from the Irish, or at least the burrito concept did. I do love corn. I'm team corn and not team flour. Anyway, that country was so great that they're leaving in drones to be around the white gods who live to the north, who I guess in their mind must be godlike creatures, because there's like no magic soil. I think that was the plot. I mean, it was sort of a self-owned, but the movie bombed also. Now, the only difference is that Deadpool and the Wolverine movie came out, and it looks like kind of a little bit of a bounce back for Marvel, which is sort of weird because Marvel killed half the characters off in that last movie in 2018, I think, the second part of Civil War or something. And they want to replace them with non-whites and gays and probably trans, furry, otherkins, and I'm sure there'll be some pronoun stuff in there, and my two moms, and just all kinds of things. But the post-Civil War movies were as popular as Bros and Monkeypox AIDS, so they saw that they had to bring back the actors, which is weird because they're dead. I think some of the actors went off to do some other stuff, and it's like Chris Evans learned that he's only a Marvel character. He's only a superhero character. He's in some other movies that bombed, and so I mean, you might as well bring him back and try to make some money to have a softer landing, to swap out the characters, because they killed them off and they weren't old enough to age them out. So it's like you lost another 2 movies which would have made money by deleting the characters. I still think about it. Like I look at Disney, I go, who's making these decisions? They're freaking bizarre. But maybe they just wanted to get rid of them so they could get, because they were too they're too blonde, blue-eyed type of characters, and they want to swap them out with something darker and gayer, and they will, and then that stuff will bomb, and they'll go on Twitter and attack the audience, and it's like the audience just doesn't care. You're istophobic. Yeah, I just don't care anymore. So I believe another Avenger movie is coming out with that old cast, who I guess are back from the dead. At this point, they should bring in Henry Cavill. I was going to say make him Iron Man, but I guess they already have Robert Downey Jr. for that, and he's does great in that role when he's not doing a Kamala Harris commercial or something. The dude was doing that commercial. It's just the biggest bunch of bleeding pussies, soy boys, were doing that thing. What would you make Henry Cavill in the Marvel Universe? I don't know, something. I mean, something you still got. I mean, make him a mad scientist. He doesn't have to play character of Superman. You can put him in there as something else. Anyway, so even with the Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman bounce of that latest Deadpool, you know, I haven't seen that movie. I'm talking to my friend about it. It's like I kind of would want to see it in the theater and not just go sail the high seas for it, because it's, you know, some movies are big screen experiences, and I heard people like it. Because there's a certain energy, like people like both those actors, and as long as it's not insanely woke, it had a huge opening, so it's probably going to do pretty well. But it still feels like the superhero genre is over, or it needs to change radically in tone, which to them means non-white and trans and whatever. I mean, I mean, they already have you know, male characters adopting a kid or making, I don't know, butt babies or something, or I guess they're buying children. What do they call? That's the thing now, is they buy children. They're not adopting them. They buy designer children. It's like, oh gosh, where's the mom? Hello, where's the mom? Why are you guys in the pregnancy bed? Where's the mom? Are you saying you bought a baby and took him away from the mom, and it's always a him? That's fucking evil, guys. Is the mom gonna be in the life? No. Oh. It's absolute Weimar. Anyway, they always say like, we're gonna make. Was it Leslie Headland or Alonzo, whatever, was talking about? We're leaving money on the table if we don't make these things just as diverse and gay as possible. And you look around, it's like, yeah, it's not working. How much coke are you snorting to think this works? It's like, apparently they're just doing line after line. They think, oh, if we have diversity, then we'll get everyone who's represented. Because, you know, Larry Fink, inclusion and all this kind of Frankfurt School cancer, and we'll get that bigger audience. The theaters will just be overflowing. It's like, oh, it never works. And you're still doing it. Well, thankfully, we have marching powder and Larry Fink money. So, like, everything they say is, of course, absolute bullshit. They don't actually care about the money. That's the thing. They know feminism and diversity doesn't sell. They don't care. This is about something else. And, you know, if you saw the Olympics, I'm trying to do an Olympic video. It's actually kind of hard because it's so politically incorrect to put it on YouTube. If you saw the Olympic opening ceremony, by now you can be as normie as possible. And I know the audience on YouTube is full of normies who have no idea. By now you have to know something else is going on that should be clicking for you. Anyway, the thing is, this guy's DC and not Marvel, but the genre is the same. If one is absolutely bombing and tanking, it's probably going to drag down the other, and it seems like they're both on the way out now. DC has had its own string of bombs. Pretty much the last 5 movies, Flash, which actually wasn't that bad. Ezra Miller, I think, and the old Batman, Michael Keaton, did a pretty solid job in that. It's just he had too much baggage attached to him, and Wonder Woman 84 was a massive bomb. Black Adams still didn't make money. Shazam, I didn't even see that, and that bombed. And there's a couple other. I'm kind of confusing Marvel and DC, but they've so far lately there's been a lot of movies losing serious amounts of money. So Booster Gold is a popular cult hero. So you're going to replace him with someone who doesn't look like the character. The thing about superhero movies is that they're obviously dumb and plots are ridiculous, so the actors have to do a lot of heavy lifting with the charisma and the accuracy of the original property. Basically, you need good-looking people who are as close to the comic as possible, and here you need someone out of Nordic Central Casting, because that's what the dude looks like. I don't know why he's wearing shooter goggles. You can't change things about a movie based on a comic because the comic is so shallow to start with. The comics are derivative from, half the time, it's some sort of European mythology. It's either the Mediterranean, you know, Greek or Roman or Norse or whatever, but it's it itself, comic books themselves are derivative. And so you've got a movie that's getting so far away from the source material, it just gets, you know, it's a facsimile of a facsimile sort of thing, to where you end up with, you know, what you see in modern Marvel. It's a, you know, 300-pound trans lesbian playing in a wheelchair, playing like a physically fit character. It's all so tiresome. The thing is, this stuff is shallow. It's not Shakespeare where you could swap out characters and the story is so strong and the comedy is so strong that it carries over. If we see a Mexican replacing a Swedish-looking character, that's a bridge too far for people who are familiar with the source material. And they say that race doesn't matter. Well, of course it does, because otherwise you wouldn't have changed it. And someone in the comments says it's a character that nobody cares about with an actor that nobody cares about. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys all next episode.